people look at America, and that's what's happening right now to America, and how sad and crazy it is out there, and they want to stop it. Hey, Jesse, how do I help? How do I help? What do we do? What do we do? Well, have you looked after yourself first? Are you mentally ready? Are you physically ready? Are you in a good place to help someone else? Because if you're not, you got to get there first. There are a lot of people in this country that are in a very bad spot mentally. We can't allow ourselves to get there. We won't be able to help anybody. You want to be some 70-year-old man sitting there in diapers?
I am so glad that I am in diapers, and I am so glad that I am a little sissy baby girl. And I am so glad that I know that I will never ever have to be an adult ever again. And I just wish that everybody who wants to be a little sissy girl gets the chance to wear pretty clothes, they get the chance to wear diapers, and they get the chance to be a little baby girl.
You know what strikes me most about insane videos like that is the age of some of these people. That dude is my dad's age. My dad, who plays with his grandsons and rides horses and lives a normal life. Same age. Why so different? Joining me now, so I can't wait for this, Gad Saad. He's a professor, evolutionary behavioral scientist, and he has a new book out called The Sad Truth About Happiness. Gad, okay, obviously there are about 10 million things I'm sure you could say about that ridiculous, insane video. But again, this is not some confused 14-year-old boy who's succumbed to weird societal pressures and a weird girl in high school. That's a gentleman with lines on his face. Should be working on his 401k. What?
Well, first, great to be with you, Jesse. I hate to say this, but my prophetic satire strikes again. In the Parasitic Mind, when I am satirizing and mocking some of this stuff, I give the example of my announcing that I will be entering the under 8-year-old judo competition for people who are less than 70 pounds, and I called it trans-ageism and trans-gravity. If I self-identify of a particular weight, and if I self-identify as being, less than 8 years old, then you have to allow me to participate in that judo championship. I use judo, by the way, because my brother used to be an Olympic judoka, so that's why I use that example of the Parasitic Mind. And so my prophetic satire strikes again. There's nothing better than freeing ourselves from the pesky shackles of reality, and I think your clip shows exactly that.
Look, I know there's probably a million different ways to answer this, but you wrote the book on it, The Parasitic Mind, on top of your new book. How does a man get to that place? What is it? Is he just mentally ill? Is this drugs? Is this a cry for attention? I don't understand what I'm looking at. I know it's not right, but I don't understand what I'm looking at.
So in that particular case, I don't know, because I have to know more about him.
Yeah.
But look, there's something very liberating about the possibility that we are not shackled by, let's say, our genitalia or our age, right? So, and that's actually one of the things that I talk about in the Parasitic Mind, that all of these parasitic idea pathogens share one thing in common, and which is that they free us from reality. So take, for example, social constructivism, which is the idea that we are all born with equal potentiality. We're born with empty minds, and it's only socialization that makes us into Lionel Messi or Michael Jordan or Albert Einstein. Well, that's perfectly erroneous view, but it frees me from reality, because it basically tells me, hey, look, my son could be the next Lionel Messi or Michael Jordan. So each of these idea pathogens, Jesse, in a sense, are quite liberatory. And in this case, this gentleman is saying, look, I'm not a 70-year-old man. I am an 8-year-old girl. And boy, it's lovely and liberating for us to be anything we want to be on any given Tuesday. It's insane, but that's the world we live in today.
Yeah, that is insane. You know what? I'm glad you brought up insane, because I was marinating on this yesterday when I was driving to work. I can't let this go. I'll never be able to let it go. There's so many parts of COVID I'll never be able to let go. But one of the ones that really hit me was every part of the system selling a lie right off the bat. From the stupid social distancing, which sounds like a child came up with it, to the idiotic mass, one-way aisles in the grocery store. It was like all of society went nuts. Not one part. All of society went nuts. And so many people went along with it. Why did so many people go along with that? I remember so many times looking around with just my jaw hanging open thinking, when did everyone lose their mind but me?
Well, I think it's a form of govern me harder, daddy, right? It's wonderful and again, liberating for someone to be telling me exactly what to do at any given moment. So some of us are very, we're free thinkers. Don't tread on me, don't tread on me and so on. Others say, look, I want to subcontract every one of the minutia of my life to someone else. And if the government tells me to do X, Y, or Z, I don't ask questions and I do it. So I really think it comes from that. I should mention, though, Jesse, that one of the reasons why you and I might have been a bit more reticent to wear the mask, I just discussed this actually on my YouTube channel. A study came out showing that people who are less physically attractive are more likely to want to continue to wear the mask. And I'll speak for both of us. We're both extremely good looking, and therefore we resist not giving this as a gift to the world.
Yes. You know what, Gad? That's a really good point. I just didn't want to deprive anybody, even if it killed me. I wanted them to be able to gaze on my wonderful
You're just
face.
a generous guy, Jesse. You keep giving and giving. You're just that kind of guy.
Okay, all right, Gad, I want to nail down on something you just brought up. The subcontracting out parts of your life. I understand that. I do. I understand that the human nature is many people kind of want to be slaves. That is just the history of the world. It's a simpler life. Maybe not a better life, but a simpler life. One part that I'll never understand, though, is how family treated family. I call it the great sorting, but look, I could show you a million emails. I'm sure you've had them. Mothers whose children wouldn't let them visit anymore. Children who wouldn't let their parents visit anymore. Brother cutting off brother. It was odd over something that really wasn't that serious. Help me explain how you could be so manipulated that you would just blow up your whole family for it. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I actually recently gave an example. It was a few months ago. I had tweeted out, I know you appeared on Tucker Carlson yesterday, and it relates to that, to Tucker. I had tweeted out that, hey, thank you, Tucker, for inviting me on your long forms podcast. Thank you for being so gracious to my family and so on. A cousin of mine, Jesse, who went through the Lebanese civil war with me. So if you're thinking about, affiliative bonding, few things are going to link you to another person than when you're both gone through the Lebanese civil war. Publicly, he writes and says to me, publicly on Twitter, are you serious? Or something to that effect. Have you no shame? So this cousin of mine who went through the Lebanese civil war was publicly repudiating me for saying thank you to Tucker Carlson for having gone on his show. And he was my closest friend growing up in Lebanon. So to your point, tribalism can be one ugly cancer, and being in a family won't protect you when you're viewing the world as us versus them.
Support the First TV today and get instant access to exclusive specials like Who is Ron DeSantis, the history of FBI scandals, and America's worst presidents. Visit thefirsttv.com/support or download the First TV app to become a supporter and start watching today.